lot of this interesting. And I know you don't have it in front of you, but I did take very copious notes. And in this, and by the way, for anybody interested, this is chapter 19. So there are three main points that I got from human-centered capitalism, people, and it's humanity is more important than money. Unit of economy is each person, not each dollar. And markets exist to serve our common goals and interests. So that's sounding very much like somebody who's caring about the collective good, which, sounds a little socialistic, sounding a little bit like wanting everybody to do well. I don't know.
I think we should be measuring how we're doing and want everyone to do well. And if you actually geared your economy to that, then it would look very, very different than it does now. That's sort of that way.
Yeah, I really think that the hybrid systems that we have in various parts of the world, whether, Germany, Japan, Australia, even Scandinavia, they really have, and you look at the quality of life and the overall happiness index.
Yes.
I mean, that in a lot of ways really is it. And it's
Bhutan.
Not, yeah, I mean,
Bhutan.
Yeah.
They measure gross national happiness.
Yeah.
They actually do.
And it leads you to want things like universal healthcare, which I do, and universal basic income, which I do, and like a lot of other things that I think would improve our quality of life pretty quickly. I don't know how you all feel where you are in Florida, but I feel like we're in a bit of an optimism recession right now. Like people are very down in the dumps. Is that happening now?
They're nihilists. That's what's happened. A lot of the people.
I really want to jump into this, Andrew, because I do want to, slightly talk about your race for mayor. And I really do think overall, I think that the nihilism of the left befell upon you much as it did Nina Turner. I think that there is this, you're never going to be good enough.
You're not pure
enough.
You're not pure enough.
There's always going to be
something. You said this, you did this.
And so if people disagreed with you on your statement about Israel,
yes,
but didn't have enough foresight to recognize that you were the one candidate who did two things in the race for mayor that actually matters. You supported the New York Health Act, and you were the only person who actually tried to make actual use of ranked choice voting. As far as I can tell, those are the things that really matter.
Right.
And because of your selflessness, you almost made Catherine Garcia the mayor of New York City, despite the fact the entire machine tried to put Eric Adams in there. And had you not done what you did, who knows what a margin he would have won by. But it really came down to the wire. And that was because of your selflessness to say, look, if it can't be me, let's at least have it be somebody who will move the needle in the right direction, much more so than this other person who is definitely not going to do that. And I don't think enough people really gave you enough credit for really focusing on those two particular areas.
Yeah.
They only want to focus on the negative. And to me,
it's all about Israel.
That's the part about the left that really eats at us in particular. There is a lack of understanding about coalition building that has to change if we're ever going to get anywhere. Your thoughts on that?
I was talking to a progressive friend of mine who's done a lot for progressive causes. And he said something that stuck with me. He said, you can do 20 things that they agree with. And then if they disagree with the 21st thing, it's like the other 20 things didn't matter. That was what he said. And so he, felt very kind of disillusioned and a bit burnt. I appreciate your perspective a great deal. I certainly think that if someone disagrees with me on something very passionately, it can be taken in the context of like, hey, like really disagree with Yang on this thing. But there are other things I'm down with and a fan of. One thing I saw that maybe influenced me a little bit is that folks, for whatever reason, seemed more down on me than Eric Adams, even though to me, I thought that was like no contest in a particular way. It's like people didn't seem to be focusing on like what positive you'd want. It's like, okay, you're not a Yang fan, I get it. Like who you want to elevate, who, and people seem more intent on just being like, let's just try and drag someone down and like not focus on building someone up or the other candidates that might end up in this case mayor. It's like that.
Well, that's what I said in the beginning. People decide that they don't like you, and then they will work backwards from that conclusion. They'll find because given, and especially like you've said, we're having two different narratives that were or at least two. There's multiple narratives, and we're in our own little like thought bubbles. And so people they like you or they don't. And they will then find the news and the comments and the little sound bites that will suit that narrative that they create. because no one is pure, like by anyone. No one's going to agree with you on everything. And I just, people, I just are fixated on this.
And the same thing befell Dianne Morales, who we thought was, a really strong progressive candidate, obviously up until the end with everything that happened, and accused her of not, giving in
Just
to the
got
whole
ugly.
demands about the unions and that type of stuff. I mean, look, New York City politics, it's tough. It's very tough, and again, it's very entrenched, extremely entrenched. And I think that you were really scaring the hell out of them for quite a while, and they really had to go all hands on deck. And maybe New York City isn't the answer. I think the whole idea of this broader nationwide coalition, because a lot of people are really against like this whole idea of the centralized planning of politics. It's really a big problem. I think the whole idea of decentralizing and reaching out to people who live, frankly, New York City, you only have to go west about, I don't know, 30, 40 miles, and you're in a whole other world, whether in West Jersey or
Probably less
Pennsylvania.
than 30 miles.
Probably
but
less.
well,
You talk a lot about that, how the Democrats ignore so many regions that are those regions that we would have a lot in common with people, but they ignore them.
probably a lot of folks you talked to, Jen, when you were campaigning, just like everyday Floridians who have like the same concerns as a lot of people I'm sure I met in Ohio or New Hampshire. Um, yeah, one of the things that I think you both know is that I wrote this book forward last year, and it was probably clear from reading the book that I wasn't sure what I was going to do next, and I decided to run for mayor. But like I'm very focused on a lot of these national issues because I see how nasty it's going to get, and my journey through the presidential campaign was not encouraging in many respects. Like it didn't make me think like, oh, we've got this thing under control. It actually made me think, wow, we're in for a very, very rough time. So I'm thrilled to build the Forward Party because I feel like it's well overdue. A lot of Americans want something like it. Just the question is whether we can build it big enough, fast enough to have an impact in the time we have. In part because of what, again, I'm going to return to is like you sense that there is a little bit of an optimism recession going on out there. Like I think there's like an emotional climate where people are ready to believe the worst of people and and are a little bit, I think, emotionally exhausted or tapped out, which I kind of get. And I think it is a product of our media environment and the polarization of the period where people just feel like if you engage, you're just going to wind up really angry or depressed or some version of that. And so a lot of people are trying to pull back. Which is something that, again, I totally understand. And one of the things I say to folks is like, look, we're all human beings and like, you need a break sometimes. But I said to someone else that just like if you start a business during a recession, people think it's a bad idea. And then those are the most successful businesses historically. I feel the same about this movement where it's like you started in a tough time. We are getting a lot of people super excited. And I tweeted the other day, it's like everyone I meet who's joining the Forward Party is awesome. And it's true. Everyone I meet who's joining the Forward Party is awesome.
How far away is something like having candidates and having ballot access in, certain places?
Oh, I think we're going to get there in this cycle in the next 12 months for sure. I just had a really exciting meeting today with some people who, by the way, have been working on ballot access in particular places for a while and just want to link up with the Forward Party. There's a lot of third party energy. One thing, again, I love about the third party folks I'm meeting is that they are mission driven. They're not territorial at all. They're like, hey, let's work together. It's been a joy.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug, for appreciating that. And, I'm tired of the people chit-chatting about Israel in the chat. Really, seriously, people, get over it. Here's the thing. If Andrew Yang became president tomorrow, he's not going to go after Israel. Okay. Let it be, people. You're fixating on it. And I, you know what? We all make comments that we shouldn't necessarily make. And I don't even know because I'm not on Twitter. So I don't even know what it was. But anyway, move on.
You're not on Twitter? Good for you, Jen. No wonder you're so sane.
I'm not on there at all.
We basically have reduced it. We unfortunately had a situation that arose a little over a month ago, but you know what?
Oh, it was way longer than that at this point.
2 months ago, but it kind of crystallized at that moment that, you know what? You need to post on social media. And frankly, guys, if you're out there, you should post like Andrew does. pretty much everything he posts is positive.
Exactly.
And trying to find the silver lining, even if it isn't there.
I'm trying to
just
find
say,
solutions and
yeah,
stop hating. But
the
yeah, I
ne-
got off like 10 months ago. I
yeah,
haven't been on social media.
The negativity there. And I really think that the echo chamber of social media, I mean, listen, it's a great avenue to connect with people and meet
It's
people from
vile.
all- but overall, it's become
vile.
exceptionally toxic.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.